Right, I've got something coming through on Solstice. I've got to figure out how to connect the dots, but it's something to do with our natural state of being is always balanced, and so whenever we have wounding or pain, we're pulled into different densities and our frequencies changed, and we have wounding with regard to abandonment or anything to do with lack can pull us into addiction because of these metaphorical like holes, energetic leakages or points where things that we don't want to get into our vessel because they are not of us, they come in because they feed off fear. And so with love we start to repair and we build up the energetic auric field and we protect ourselves because love is the eternal force. And so coming back to the here and now with regard to like a lot of us, everybody's got some form of addiction. Food, the West is going crazy on food addiction. I find it very, very strange. I feel like food is essentially sustenance, and it's lovely to be able to create and give ourselves food and nourishment, but to the point where it's like dominating like social media and stuff in the ways it is, like there's definitely an emotional wound there to always think about food like it's not an element of greed, but it is like it's coming from a place of lack, not believing in abundance. Just like everything has to be focused on what we eat, which is like there's a connection to emotional, like we eat through our emotions, for our emotions, from our emotions. Yes, clean living is one aspect of it, but also there are emotions connected to the ways that people are just obsessed with food. I'm not judging, this is observations. I'm not saying I don't have my own addictions and obsessions. You don't need to know them. Some people might observe it, some people might not. But I think I've got to the point where I'm mostly balanced as much as I can be, unless I get pulled into some strange energetic vortex, which I'm ever learning. I don't think we master anything until the day we leave the realm, because that's the day that the contracts terminate. So until that point, I think it's mastery and it's mastering. But the gaping holes or the abandonment or wounding or issues that leave these sort of, gaps for things to come in is connected to the lack. And so when we live in love, which is hard to find, sometimes hard to identify, difference between codependency and love, because when we live in love, like we don't need to force anything, we don't need to force a connection, we don't need to force people's opinions of us, like we don't need any of that stuff, because our self-belief is so strong. Self-doubt has gone, that era is dead and buried, RIP. And someone's listening to Nelly or something right now. That's really weird. I'm getting Nelly come through. That cover he did, the Mama song. Anyway, so in terms of like these holes creating spaces of lack, that is where the addictions come. It's because greed, we don't need to necessarily believe in the 7 deadly sins, but there are certain lower frequencies, emotions, that keep us in a lack mentality, and greed being one of them. That doesn't only apply to food, that applies to overconsumption, overdoing anything, which is addiction, because we are overusing a substance, a activity, because people can be gym obsessed, a thing, and we don't need to overdo anything. Once we've found the love and the balance, like we might like to do certain things certain ways and have our own little routines and rituals and habits, but I trust they're not from a place of lack, that they are in abundance. that every time we put our head on the pillow at night, like, we get renewed and refreshed every day. And like, if we're managing our spiritual health in a conscious way, we rebalance the scales, we reset. And so coming back to love is like the eternal protector to pull us away from anything that we are overdoing and overusing, because we love ourselves. Like, why would we want to hurt ourselves? Some people, there's been some really interesting chats online at the minute about, spiritual work. Like, it doesn't actually matter what we do to the physical thing. Like, we are capable of manifesting anything at any one moment in time, regardless of whether we're fasting or on a clean diet or not, which is a great observation and potentially true. But I think the way that those of us that choose a cleaner path, and I say not purist, because we work with the light and the dark, it's a myriad, it's just where we integrate the shadow. Everybody has a shadow. It's not like mine's disappeared, it's just I've got her in check. The shadow doesn't lead, not 365 days of the year. There might be moments where she's a bit naughty, but oh God, I'm getting pulled in a variety of directions right now. So trust someone will find the thread, but it's love. Love is the cure. Love is the medicine. Various things, plant medicine, psychedelics, sound healing, everything. There's all tools, but we are the medicine. This incredible vessel is the medicine. When we start to look after it, I felt a massive difference in my weight, not just like physical, but in my energetic being light, because of what I've healed mentally and how it's connected to gut, brain, heart. 3, the Holy Trinity, the pyramid, the triad. Oh gosh, don't know when I'm putting this out, but 7:07 just passed on the clock. All right, 77, the ley lines, Jamaica. Interesting. There's a lot of stuff that's being connected across past, present, future, and the timelines. But anyway, all is love. Once we come to that point, we don't need to overdo anything, because then we realise, like, it's greed. Why do you need to be doing this like 17 times a day, or that, 50 times a month, or like moderation, or a self-respect. And it takes us a long time. If we've had a few knocks over our life, we've all had them at different stages, some in childhood, some in teenager, some at school, some at this, that and the other. But once we address that stuff, then I think we get out of the lack mentality, and greed doesn't exist. Because, well, 808, it's just love. And we wouldn't do that to ourselves if we loved ourselves. So, I don't know. 818. Thank you.